In this anecdote, entitled Jesus Shaves by David Sedaris, the impossibility of learning French is contemplated. Sedaris comes to the conclusion that if it's possible to learn French, then anything is possible.
And what does one do on the 14th of July? Does one celebrate the Bastille Day?
It was my second month of French class, and the teacher was leading us in an exercise designed to promote the use of one, our latest personal pronoun.
Might one sing on Bastille Day?
She asked.
Might one dance in the streets? Somebody give me an answer.
Today's discussion was dominated by an Italian nanny, two chatty Poles, and a pouty plump Moroccan man who had grown up speaking French and had enrolled in the class, hoping to improve his spelling. He covered these lessons back in the 3rd grade and took every opportunity to demonstrate his superiority. A question would be asked and he raced to give the answer, behaving as though this were a game show and, if quick enough, he might go home with a tropical vacation or a side-by-side refrigerator. A transfer student, by the end of his first day, he raised his hand so many times that his shoulder had given out. Now he just leaned back and shouted out the answers, his bronzed arms folded across his chest like some great grammar genie. We finished discussing Bastille Day, and the teacher had moved on to Easter, which was represented in our textbooks by a black and white photograph of a chocolate belle lying upon a bed of palm fronds.
And what does one do on Easter? Would anyone like to tell us?
The Italian nanny was attempting to answer the teacher's latest question when the Moroccan student interrupted, shouting, "Excuse me, but what's an Easter?" It would seem that despite having grown up in a Muslim country, he would have heard it mentioned once or twice, but no. "I mean it," he said. "I have no idea what you people are talking about." The teacher called upon the rest of us to explain. The Poles led the charge to the best of their ability.
It is,
said one,
a party for the little boy of God who called himself Jesus, and
she faltered and her fellow countrymen came to her aid. "He called himself Jesus, and then he died one day on 2 morsels of lumber." The rest of the class jumped in, offering bits of information that would have given the Pope an aneurysm. "He died one day, and then he go above my head to live with your father. He wear himself the long hair, and after he died, the first day he come back here for to say hello to the peoples. He nice, the Jesus. He make the good things, and on the Easter we be sad because somebody makes him dead today." Part of the problem had to do with vocabulary. Simple nouns such as cross and resurrection were beyond our grasp, let alone such complicated reflexive phrases as to give of yourself your only begotten Son. Faced with the challenge of explaining the cornerstone of Christianity, we did what any self-respecting group of people might do. We talked about food instead.
Easter is a party to eat of the lamb,
the Italian nanny explained.
One too may eat of the chocolate.
"And who brings the chocolate?" the teacher asked. I knew the word, so I raised my hand, saying, "The rabbit of Easter, he bringeth the chocolate." "A rabbit?" The teacher, assuming I'd used the wrong word, positioned her index fingers on top of her head, wriggling them as though they were ears. "You mean one of these? A rabbit? "Well, sure," I said. "He come in the night when one sleep on a bed. With a hand, he have a basket and food." The teacher sighed and shook her head. As far as she was concerned, I had just explained everything that was wrong with my country. No, she said. "Here in France, the chocolate is brought by a big bell that flies in from home." I called for a timeout. "But how do the bell know where you live?" "Well," she said, "how does a rabbit?" Nothing we said was of any help to the Moroccan student. A dead man with long hair, supposedly living with his father, a leg of lamb served with palm fronds and chocolate. Equally confused and disgusted, he shrugged his massive shoulders and turned his attention back to the comic book he kept hidden beneath his Bible. I wondered then if, without the language barrier, my classmates and I could have done a better job making sense of Christianity, an idea that sounds pretty far-fetched to begin with. In communicating any religious belief, the operative word is faith, a concept illustrated by our very presence in that classroom. Why bother struggling with the grammar lessons of a 6-year-old if each of us didn't believe that, against all reason, we might eventually improve? If I could hope to one day carry on a fluent conversation, it was a relatively short leap to believing that a rabbit might visit my home in the middle of the night, leaving behind a handful of chocolate kisses and a carton of menthol cigarettes. So why stop there? If I could believe in myself, why not give other improbabilities the benefit of the doubt? I told myself that despite her past behavior, my teacher was a kind and loving person who had only my best interests at heart. I accepted the idea that an omniscient God had cast me in his own image and that he watched over me from one place to the next. The virgin birth, the resurrection, and the countless miracles. My heart expanded to encompass all the possibilities of the universe. A Belleville, that's just screwed up.